Welcome to another episode of the crazy world of cyber compliance, threats, attacks, oh my. Cyber criminals beware, there's a new bird in town taking a BYTE out of you. Every episode, your host Michele Novack breaks down the latest cyber threats, attacks, and compliance shakeups happening right now. From ransomware to phishing schemes, we keep it real, keep it current, and yes, we keep it fun. So buckle up, because in this world, the cardinal always wins.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. If you run an accounting practice or a tax firm, I need you to lean in today and closely for this episode. We're going to talk about the fascinating world of the IRS, the warning that every tax firm is missing. So dive in, listen up, and get some education today. The threat landscape of our industry just crossed the critical threshold. We aren't talking about hypothetical hacker groups anymore. We're talking about concrete, documented vulnerabilities that have caught the direct attention of the federal government. You know, I've been doing this for a long time now. I can't even tell you how many years, but I will tell you this, right? I do know one thing. It's important that everyone makes compliance like the forefront of what you're doing, right? And compliance is boring. Let's be honest with each other, right? Nobody wants to hear about compliance. Nobody wakes up in the morning saying, oh my God, I got to worry about cybersecurity compliance. It's the most boring part of any business. However, it's the most critical part of your business, right? The threat landscape of our industry has just crossed a critical threshold. We aren't talking about hypothetical hacking groups anymore. We're talking about concrete, documented vulnerabilities that have caught the direct attention of the government. I'm going to repeat that. Just recently, the Electronic Tax Administration Advisory Committee, known as the ETAAC, dropped a major recommendation. And, I talked about this a couple of months ago with a lot of my clients, as well as on my other podcast. They are going to look for accountability. It's no longer, hey, do you have this in place? That's great. They want you to show them. They want you to prove your governance, right? They explicitly told the IRS that it needs to build a real-time validation capabilities for EFIN and PTIN credentials. So what does that mean for you, right? Let that sink in. If you're a tax preparer, if you're an accountant firm, if you're anyone, a bookkeeper, a CPA, anyone that's preparing taxes, we all know that every year you have to certify your PTIN for EFIN and get your credentials certified. And with that, with the mandate that changed last year, everything was about now they're requiring you when you sign off and click that little box on your W-12, you're stating to them that you're in compliance with all the cybersecurity rules and regulations. And what that means to you is that you have a WISP or a written incident security plan in place, as well as a risk assessment, right? And if you click that box, and I know many people do, and you're not in compliance and you don't have at least those two elements in place, then you're kind of perjuring yourself. I want you to think about that, right? You never want to click anything and say that you've done something that you really haven't done. But the real-time validation, why are they doing this? Because cyber criminals have shifted their focus entirely. They aren't just trying to steal individual credit card numbers anymore. They're targeting you, the tax person, right? The person who has the most valuable data. And I say that to my clients all the time. What is your most important asset? Your most important asset is your data that you hold. And your clients trust you with that data, right? So let's talk a little bit about the anatomy of the threat. Think of it about a hacker's perspective. And I want you to kind of take a step back because I know a lot of people can't understand what hackers do. Your firm holds the ultimate keys to that kingdom. Vast amounts of sensitive financial data, By phishing your team or executing a session hijacking, they can steal your active PTIN and EFIN. They sit in the background, they watch everything you're doing. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a client's office, conducted a risk assessment, and sure enough, found that there's open ports or open avenues for hackers to get in. And simple things that you could do every day, people are not doing and they don't understand that. And that's why I built this show, right? To teach you the simple DIY things that you can do. Once they have stolen those numbers, they can bypass standard filters, file hundreds of fake tax returns, steal refunds in a bulk, and completely ruin your firm's hard-earned credibility. If anybody has ever experienced this out there, I would love to hear from you, right? Ping me, get on the show today. We could go live. I'd love to invite you. Because I'll tell you, it's something that is happening and it happens in real time. And here's the reality check. If the federal government is moving towards building an entire real system to stop credential fraud, it means the vulnerabilities at the firm's level are severe. And that's what I know. It's heavily documented and it's actively being exploited right now. Let's face it, the federal government doesn't do anything when it comes to compliance unless it's something that's critical. And I want you to think about that, right? So if it's critical to them, it's got to be that critical to you. You deal with clients every day. From a compliance standpoint, you might think, well, we're too small to this happened to me. I'm a small practice. I'm sure my antivirus will be fine. I hear that all the time. And I laugh. I've got Windows Defender. Well, that's great. But I'm going to tell you right now, unless you've turned on the advanced capabilities for Microsoft, you're not protected. And even with those capabilities, hackers know their way around. They use bots. They're using sophisticated systems now to get through. They're using deep fakes where they can clone your voice, they can clone your video, they can clone anything about you and use that against you. We've seen that over and over again in the industry, right? Here's the problem. Meeting basic security standards isn't just a good idea anymore. It's a strict federal law. Under the IRS publication 4557 and the FTC safeguard rules, small and mid-sized tax firms are legally required to maintain a formalized data security posture. And for most of those firms that I'm aware of, because I work with a lot of small firms under 50 employees, and most of my firms are solopreneurs, they don't have an IT infrastructure. They don't have the resources to maintain like the big enterprise people do. And that's why I built my business as well, right? Any federal government is not playing around. Failing to comply can result in devastating data breaches, right? And we all know that. But also the FTC civil penalties that can reach up to $51,000 in these days. Per day, depending on the specific compliance gaps. I want you to think about that. I mean, if you're a small business, can you afford a $50,000 fine per day? I don't think so. I know I couldn't, and I'm a small business. To legally protect your firm, the law mandates that you must have 3 core things. And I want you to think about it, 3 core things. And that's what I want you to walk away with today. A formal written information security plan known as a WISP. Everybody knows a WISP. Regular documented risk assessments. And there's 2 parts of the risk assessments. So risk assessments are not just, a questionnaire. A risk assessment goes in deep. It takes a look at your entire ecosystem. It takes a look at your network and your configurations. It takes a look at your passwords and how long they're set to. It goes very deep into your system. And the problem that I see out there is a lot of, again, small businesses who are trying to get compliant, who are hiring these tech firms that they think they're protected. They're not, right? When you are a small business, unfortunately, you get fined the same way a big enterprise does. But the most important third step is the technical safeguards to prevent credential hacking and phishing, right? That means you need to make sure that you have your Gmail account or your Outlook account set to detect and look at those phishing schemes, because it can automatically do that. Again, if you're on a limited budget, I have a resource. Go to my resource page, download all the checklist. It'll walk you through the things that you can turn on, right? That are simple steps that add that second guardrail, regardless, even if you have things in place. It helps protect you. I do a lot of teaching. Go look me up. Find my web class on the 3 steps that you can take to DIY it yourself and listen to it. Do it, because that's going to protect you and help you. But again, if you don't have a WISP in place, if you haven't done your risk assessment, you're perjuring yourself. And I need you to understand that with the new mandate that's going to come up, you're going to be probably required. And I called this out in the beginning of the year with the changes when I heard about it last year, and the mandate of, certifying your PTIM or your EFIM. At the end of the day, you're going to probably have to upload those documents going forward, or proof that you've done this to be in compliance. And I want you to let that sink in, because if you downloaded a template somewhere for a WISP and you kind of made it through and you use ChatGPT or something else, and they look at that and it doesn't comply, you could be fined. Right? And that's why I offer second looks with my company on everything, because a second look with a compliance partner that understands how auditors look at things is important, especially for your business, right? You want to have a ground baseline, and we build that cyber shield for you, right? We provide that solution. I know what you're thinking. I'm a tax professional, not a computer science. I don't have time to write manual security policies or deal with heavy, corporate software that slows me down. But, the truth of the matter is these regulations are changing every day, daily, and they keep going. One of the newest regulations this year, again, with the FTC, is third-party vendor oversight. We're seeing a lot of that. If you don't know how to vet your vendors, I just taught a class on this, and at least the minimum of the 4 components that you need to develop a risk score and an appetite for them, then you're out of sync. You're out of sync with compliance, and you just need to accept it. And that's why I'm doing this show, right? I want to educate you, not to scare you. I want you to be in the know. It's important that you're in the know, right? Traditional enterprise compliance tools make massive software agents on your devices that eat up your system resources. So if you're running Drake, UltraTax, Lacerda, whatever you're using, the last thing you need is your system freezing during the critical filing. And that happens because maybe you hired a provider and they came in and they put all these wonderful things on your system, but it's draining your resources, your processing. You've got to look beyond that. And you got to make sure you need these tools, right? When you're vetting somebody in compliance world, there's 2 different things. And I get this all the time. Well, I have my IT guy. Well, your IT guy is great if you're setting up networks, trying to resolve a blue screen, you're locked out of your password, you're not sure, you're getting glitches. They could do some dirty work. But compliance is different. Compliance means that we are walking you through your documentation, your policy, your procedures. We're actually getting you compliant on the operational end of it. We're not your IT guy. We're not your MSP that are putting all these wonderful little tools that sit there and watch and send you alerts, right? Or monitoring your systems for, an actual breach or a hack. We are monitoring against compliance. We're watching that MSP. We're watching your IT guy to see if he configured your systems right, close those ports that don't need to be open, right? Configured and enabled things that should protect you. Turned on certain tasks to watch and see what your computer does. That's the difference here. It doesn't, I'll tell you this, right? And, again, you need continuous IT compliance. You need something that's a light footprint that runs quietly in the background. I have a platform that I built exactly for that, right? That helps you with your firm's risk 24/7. And it doesn't compete with system resources. It helps you take that overpriced manual consultant or the complex IT provider, and keep it simple. When you set up a cyber shield, you're instantly locking in three massive benefits. You're locking in your audit-ready compliance. It's automatically generating immutable audit trails, evidence tokens, and live compliance risk scores. So you're always 100% prepared if the IRS or FTC ever wants to audit you internally. We help you build that baseline. Then, secondly, it's giving you a zero system drag. Continuous monitoring happens entirely in the background, meaning your vital tax preparation software will never experience a slowdown with us and our systems. Third, it's a wisp of minutes, not months. It's no longer Googling. It's no longer saying, is this right? It's no longer trying to figure out how you get your assets, where you find all of your PII, where is it sitting, how you can test your LLMs if it's caching information and saving your information and being used. Because again, yes, the IRS and the FTC now check to see how you use ChatGPT. They check to see if it's storing information. They're checking to see if it leaked any information. Data leakage is big, and they're looking at that now. And you've got to understand the changes that are out there. And that's why I do this show, just to keep you aware, right? Keep you aware. And if you haven't done a 2-minute risk assessment, you should. Go to my website, take it, it's free. It'll give you a baseline of where you stand. Take 5 minutes and do it. Understand it. Know where you stand, right? Today, again, the IRS has shifted. They're shifting the way they come in. It's a mandatory shift. They've been placed on a mandatory shift to take a look at how they validate what you're doing, how they validate your certification. And that means dynamically for you, there's going to be big changes. So if you're not prepared, you got to get prepared. You don't need to sit back. You don't need to take, I'll do that later. You need to take the stance that this is my business. I'm accountable. I own it. And all my clients, we all sit in different spaces. Tax season rolls up. We start to get prepared, quarterly filing to do. We're under stress. We're under pressure to get our clients' information done. So when does compliance come in? I teach everybody it takes 15 minutes a week. There's certain steps you can take in 15 minutes a week. And I'm sure you can find 15 minutes a week, even if it's waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, having your coffee, sitting down at the computer and implementing these things. That's how important compliance is. Any good business owner will make time for the things that are important, especially when it comes to saving your client data and protecting yourself against potential fines from any federal regulator. The last thing you want is to wake up with a blue screen or find out that that information has been stolen. Because that, again, now will not only put you in a risk factor that's so high level, you'll lose your client's trust, you'll lose your reputation, and you don't want that. So today, again, the 3 things that you need to walk away with because of the changes that are happening with the IRS and the new mandate, right? The new mandate from the Electronic Tax Administration Advisory Committee, or the ETACC. Their recommendations explicitly told the IRS that they need to build a real-time validation capability for EFIN and PTIN credentials. And I'm telling you what that means. In plain terms, anybody who knows me, I get rid of all the jargon, and I'm telling you straight out that means you're going to be required to upload, at minimum, your WISP and your risk assessment and proof. And that's right around the corner. You have a half a year to do that. We're in July. That comes December 31st every year where you have to do this and certify. So if you get ahead of it now, then you'll be safe. So with that said, I want to thank everybody today for joining the show. I appreciate you. I hope you got some value out of this. Share it. Share it with all your colleagues. Talk about it. That's the only way we help one person at a time. And my mission's always been to help one client at a time, share the knowledge, and hope that they spread it. Don't keep it to yourself. Knowledge is powerful. And when it comes to something like this, especially in the world of what you do, it's important. See you on the next episode. Thank you for joining. Bye.